Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal production channel here at YouTube. Welcome to whoa, shit, um, the first album of the week video that I've done since October, which is really crazy because it's already pretty much in May. It's funny. But anyways, of course, this is of course being released just a day after Mother's Day, but that's not the whole topic about the whole video, anyways. And also, like I forgetting to mention, every time I do these album of the week videos, whenever I record them, I tend to also go into what number this is. And of course, right now this is actually number 33. So I've done so far 33 album of the week videos, and sure, they haven't been as consistently released. It's not a bit been as consistent when I first was doing this and everything, but that's kind of boring anyway. So let's go into the actual album or band that I'm spotlighting, of course, for this album of the week. That's of course is Dangerous Toys, which is a band that I've just recently got into. Of course, in my collection update number 20, I showed how I got the sound anyways, which is the debut, released in 1989. And so right now, this album pretty much has marked its, 30th anniversary, being released in 1989 on May 9th, which was it came out a few days ago and pretty much hit 30. So that's one of the reasons why I want to also do a album of the week spotlight on this. Now, before we get into any of the album, I definitely want to kind of go into some of the sort of background behind the album, especially one of the members here, which of course is singer Jason McMaster. Now, this is one of the reasons why I even felt like why I always wanted to check out Dangerous Toys, was because of Jason McMaster was originally in this small band called Watchtower, and his contributions to Watchtower was on their very first album, released back in 1985, titled Energetic Disassembly, I think. Yeah. At the time, I've always seen them like within the metal community and stuff, them always bringing up Watchtower, and I always, when it comes to like some of the best speed thrash metal, even like progressive metal and or technical metal, all of that, and I was like very interested in. And of course, it was a good album. But when I ended up looking at some of the band members, Jason McMaster, the singer, would leave Watchtower and pretty much sing for this. I guess you can almost say more. Even though they get tagged as hair metal, though it's more sleaze metal, sleaze rock, or something like that. Just commercial hard rock, some of that, with Dangerous Toys, and it really piqued my interest of actually checking them out. Because at the time, I pretty much wasn't as really into checking out a lot of these kind of bands. I was always into the heavier kind of stuff. But and of course, another member that was in Watchtower that would go on was Billy White, who of course would also leave, pretty much I think left Watchtower on the same time Jason McMaster left, and Billy White would go on to play with Don Dokken on the Up From the Ashes album. So it's kind of crazy how both these two guys would kind of end up playing with, slightly I guess, some more hair sleaze kind of bands, and not really the heavier kind of bands or so. Which is always kind of funny or crazy and everything. Of course, Jason McMaster these days ended up playing with, of course, Igniter. And those definitely being more just straight up heavy metal and everything. So it's pretty cool. Crazy and everything to me. But back to, of course, Dangerous Toys. I was always interested in wanting to check him out because of Jason McMaster. And I always kind of thought he had a pretty good voice for what it was, especially with Watchtower. Here on this sort of hair metal kind of thing or so, or hard rock, It's actually pretty good. I actually end up this is definitely a good album. If you really, of course, Dangerous Toys are based out of Texas, of course, same as Watchtower. But with Dangerous Toys, their sound is pretty much what happens when you take bands let's say like Skid Row, Slaughter, Motley Crue, Dokken, Rat, Poison, I guess you can throw in there, or even Bon Jovi. Some of like kind of these kind of bands, or Cinderella, all of these, but combine it with the sort of southern grit of like Molly Hatchet, Leonard Skinner, or Blackfoot. But then, of course, on top of it, combine it with the, or just round it out with the Texas boogie of ZZ Top, just to kind of, and even also a bit of the sort of attitude and swag of Aerosmith, just to really kind of create this pretty, actually I would say some pretty really good sleazy hard rock that has a bit of an edge to it compared to some of the bands that I probably mentioned, mostly being Poison and Bon Jovi, for an example. Even I kind of find these guys be even better than Slaughter, though not to be confused with the Canadian extreme metal band, which I love that band. Anyways, this is just some, again, a real solid late 80s hard rock that just has a good, again, almost really has a really good southern feel to it because of them being out of Texas. Just has a real good, again, Texas boogie feel and everything to some of the songs. It can be almost kind of fired as party metal, but it definitely it's got more of an edge compared to most of your party metal bands, especially when it comes to like the ballads, like a song like Feels Like a Hammer. That right there, you should be hearing a lot more on radio these days than what it gets put out, because it's a fucking great ballad. Anything, power ballad, whatever. It's definitely a well done track. But there's, again, quite a bit of great boogie sort of rock kind of tunes here, like the kickoff track, Teasing and Pleasing, which just has still quite a bit of that Aerosmith swag to it, which I get quite a bit from Aerosmith. Like when I think of Aerosmith, I'm thinking more so of those like Rocks or Toys in the Attic, or even like again, Draw the Line, Night in the Ruts, Rockin' Hard Place, and Done with Mirrors, that kind of stuff. It's like it just had, and it just, again, compared to Aerosmith at the time, it was really kind of getting back to being on the charts, but in a way kind of went for a more slicker, almost more overproduced kind of sound, where this one kind of does have, but it's a lot more grittier. It's got more of an edge to it, and at times really kind of brings back a bit of that sort of, kind of harkens back that sort of gritty 70s real, just rock and roll sound. And Jason McMaster actually does do a pretty good job, and it may be almost at times similar to kind of like, let's say, Mark Slaughter, but in a way he does have a little bit more of a grit compared to like Mark Slaughter. But still, there's just plenty of good songs in here. Take Me Drunk, Bones in the Gutter, Scared, which is actually, in a way, a nod to Alice Cooper, which, of course, even by the look of the artwork here, which includes a clown and everything in the artwork, which is definitely some great artwork, actually. I think it's kind of cartoonish, but a little bit more, looks more menacing compared to a lot of the, I guess, pretty much late 80s hair metal albums that was coming out at the time. So it pretty much has an edge here. Of course, even speaking of, as far as horror movies, they had a song that was featured in Wes Craven's Shocker, which was called The Demon Bell. Haven't heard that track, actually, but that's all I know. I don't know if it was released prior or like months before the self-titled release, but it's definitely a bit of a cool little fact right there. Anyways, again, just with that, kind of does give them a pretty good edge. Like I was saying, probably one of the most metal kind of songs on the album is probably Outlaw, which just has a great, more more traditional heavy metal sound to it. And even song like, again, Bones in the Gutter kind of reminds me a little bit of Dokken in ways, because like more so think of something like off of Back for the Attack. Like, of course, when it comes to the guitar players here, Danny Aaron, Dahlhover, both the two definitely have almost a slight a slight twin guitar attack to some extent here. I know I can go on and on about this sound because I'm pretty much all over it right now in a way, because it's just a really good hair metal album, or sleaze rock or so. Just great late 80s hard rock is just the best I can put on. Even compared to like fucking Winger, this shit blows that crap out of the water. Because it's just, it's again got a real good edge to it. And also another cool tidbit is the fact that I think it's pretty much listed right here. I don't know what member is wearing it, because I know they got the drummer here, Mark Geary. He's sporting a death shirt, which is real cool for a hair. Guess what? A sleazy hard rock band to be caught wearing. So that just adds a kind of cool fact about this band. Anyways, just a solid late 80s hard rock album that has a great edge to it, great feel. Compared to a lot of the albums that was coming out at that time, it's definitely got an edge to it compared to some other, even though it may be kind of, again, in a way, still room within the party kind of rock sound to it, but it at least has something to it than just being just another party rock album that is getting shoved down by a lot of the corporate labels. Sure, they're on a big label, but again, compared to it, it at least has something to it. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this Album of the Week Spotlight. If you have heard this album, definitely leave your comments down below. If you haven't, are wondering how to check it out, you can always find it on YouTube. Or if you want to find it out in the get online or whatever, if you want a physical copy, it shouldn't be that hard, especially looking online. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed. Great to have a Album of the Week episode up. So until then, this is Happy Thrasher Sam out. I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.